Greetings again. Yeah, I know it's late. Yeah, go to bed, hockey guy. Can't believe I'm getting a notice that you're on. You did another video? You're insane. Well, I had a busy day and I had a lot of stuff I wanted to talk about, and now's the best time. I work tomorrow morning at 10:30 Pacific, which is 1:30 Eastern, which means my time in the morning to do videos is not there, and then I'm not off till 5:30, so that means I'm not off till 8:30 Eastern. So if you're on the East Coast, I'm sorry. I'm going to try to get a couple done in a time that's normal for you guys. Otherwise, especially on a Thursday. And then Friday I work afternoon shift too. So let's take a look at early season leaders in scoring, because it's an interesting bunch that's emerging here. Number one with a bullet is Stamkos. 24 points in 13 games. Now, obviously, he's not going to stay on a 2-point-a-game pace. Nobody is. The 6 goals are lower than you might expect, and the 18 assists are high. And yet, number 2 on the scoring list is Nikita Kucherov with 13 goals in 13 games. 21 points. Those two are related. No surprise to anybody that they're related. For me, the game-winning goals for Kucherov being at 3, the power play goals for Stamkos being at 4, Kucherov's being at 3, tells me that Stamkos only having 2 goals at 5-on-5, he's looking to pass. And yet on the power play, he's looking to shoot. So I really, honestly, I'm very impressed with Stamkos' start, and I wouldn't be surprised if he held on to the Art Ross. I'm very surprised at Jaden Schwartz still being at number 3. I had expected by this point he'd fall back. 13 games, 17 points, and he's looked really, really good. He's got a plus 10 going for him, and St. Louis is very lucky to have him. I think Schwartz is emerging as a really solid player. Also off to a fantastic start is Jakub Voracek. Now, it's not the first time Voracek's been off to a great start. He's got 14 assists in 13 games, 2 goals to go with it, so 16 points altogether. As I said, not the first time this has happened. Is he going to fall back? Yeah, he will. But he's been really, really good. And Voracek is one of those guys who, I don't know if he's underrated, but I know he's not talked about enough considering the amount of points he puts up. And I think part of it is because Philadelphia's not considered to be a particularly great team. So I think that affects how much people talk about him. Because everybody talks about the next guy on the list, who's Austin Matthews. Yes, 9 goals, 7 assists, 16 points in 13 games. And a plus 12 tells you that Austin Matthews is off to a great start. Now, Matthews' 9 goals in 13 games is impressive. Okay, and he looks like he's on pace for 50 goals. And I wouldn't be surprised if he got 50. He got 40 as a rookie. 50 is absolutely achievable for him. Where the trick is going to be with Matthews is, let's say he finishes with 90, 95 points. The pressure on him going into the playoffs is going to be immense. Immense. And the pressure on him come the second half of the season could be immense. Let's just say he scores 26 or 27 in the first half of the year. Pressure's going to go up. Matthews is going to have a lot of pressure. Be interesting to see how it turns out for him. I'm not pro or anti-Matthews at this point. There are so many good young players to watch. There's so many good young teams to watch. It's impossible to follow just one. Keller, 8 goals, 7 assists, 15 points in 13 games for Arizona. He's carrying a -9, but look at Arizona's record. You can't just pin it on him, obviously, since he's got 8 goals in 13 games. Keller is the runaway choice for Rookie of the Year right now. Or is he? Because see, Sergachev in Tampa and McAvoy in Boston may very well have something to say about it. And don't count out Heischer in New Jersey just yet. So it'll be interesting to see how that turn of things goes for everybody. Keller's a good player. He's a solid player. He's getting a lot of ice time for a rookie. 19 minutes and 51 seconds. Hopefully he doesn't burn out. Rookies, who don't play 80 games in the minors or in college, wherever they come from, they play a shorter schedule. That NHL grueling schedule gets to a lot of them. Rookies can slow down pretty starkly in the second half. So I'm hoping Keller's able to pull it out and have a really, really solid rookie season. We'll see. Sean Couturier. So lost in and amongst the fact that Philly is the hard luck team in the NHL. And I have no problem saying that they're the hard luck team in the NHL. Sean Couturier has finally become the player they drafted in the first round. When Philly got Couturier, I thought that was the steal of the draft. Absolutely. I thought Couturier was the steal of that draft, and I was stunned that he fell that far. So, seeing the way Couturier's played this season has kind of made me feel good about that feeling. And hopefully he's feeling darn good too, because he's looked really, really good for Philly. And Philly needed a center to emerge, because while they drafted Nolan Patrick, and Nolan Patrick's the center of the future, you got to have guys who play in the present, and you've got to have your young guys develop and become those veterans that can lead the new young guys along, and now Couturier's become that. So good for him. Taylor Hall in Jersey is next on the list, and that's kind of a surprise for two reasons. One, 15 points in 11 games. Hall's healthy. And two, he's got 12 assists in 11 games. When Taylor Hall was drafted, it was viewed that he was going to be one of those 40-40 type guys. 40 goals, 40 assists. The goal-scoring ability is there, but he passes the puck. The funny thing is, the guy who that reminds me of the most is actually Henrik Sedin. Henrik Sedin has tons of assists in his career, and yet he's actually got a pretty good shot. I think if Daniel and Henrik had switched spots and had been Henrik taking the shots from the wing, I think the totals in their careers would be exactly the same. They'd just be reversed. Daniel would have all the assists and Henrik would have the goals. Taylor Hall kind of reminds me of that. He'll take the pass if he can. If a teammate is there to put the puck in, rather than take the shot himself, he's more than willing to pass it. That unselfishness is good. And while Edmonton traded him off and he's got a chip on his shoulder about that, he has to feel pretty good right now. Jersey's in a really good spot, and Edmonton is not. And I guarantee he's well aware of it. I guarantee he still checks on it, because he was pretty ticked off that Edmonton decided to get rid of him to fix their woes in terms of not making the playoffs. Next on the list, I'm going to talk about these two together. Kuznetsov and Ovechkin. So they've now both got 15 points in 12 games. Ovechkin's got 10 goals in 12 games. He's got 3 goals in his last 9. So now we're starting to talk about Ovechkin slowing down. And Ovechkin's plus minus is a 0. Kuznetsov's is a -2. They've slowed down a lot. And I don't think anybody expected Ovechkin to score 100. I know there was talk early, like, oh, maybe he'll score 50 and 50. And I never for a moment thought that would happen. But, you know, he's back down into that region where he may be in trouble. All it takes is another 5 or 6 games of maybe 1 goal, and people are going to start saying, oh, maybe Ovi is done. Maybe those 7 goals in 2 games were just a fluke. Maybe that's just like an aberration from, you know, this trajectory he seemed to be on last year. It's not fair. It's not fair that Ovi raised the bar that high, but Ovi raised the bar that high. Ovi's well aware of where the bar is. For Kuznetsov, he's a really good young center. He's going to be great. So I have no doubt in my mind that Kuznetsov, of the two, is still on an upward trajectory. But Ovechkin, I don't know. We'll see. Because as this also shows, the way he plays will decide what happens with Washington, because a lot of that depth got eaten away with their salary cap problems in the offseason. Losing Johansson is huge, and has definitely affected their attack, and losing Williams. And, you know, Shattenkirk wasn't there for very long, but it does make an impact when you lose a guy. And losing Alzner, like all of these depth moves, all these guys they lost, it does add up. So the pressure on Ovechkin is probably the highest it's been since his rookie season to make a difference. Next on the list, Tavares. And I'm going to stop with just the 15-point scorers, because otherwise I'll be here all night. So we'll just get into the 15 points and higher, and I'll be able to discuss other players, and I'm going to get into disappointments tomorrow. So I'm going to do a video on who's been disappointing so far and where the issues lie, and that, of course, will lead to a lot of debate. Tavares, 11 goals in 15 games. I honestly, I think Johnny Tavares might be playing the best hockey of his career right now. I would not be surprised to see him win a Maurice Richard trophy. He's simply been insanely good for the Islanders, and he'll drag him to the playoffs if he's gotta. And that's exactly what the Islanders need. They need superstar player, team that's probably overachieving by a little bit, okay? And if this can become a big story, in New York, maybe this is the impetus that the team needs to get that arena built and to solidify their future in New York where they're at, rather than all of the relocation talk. And for Tavares, I hope he gets that extension signed soon, because otherwise it's going to get ridiculous. And not that it would affect him, because clearly it's not. At this point, none of that worries is affecting him. If anything, he's probably sitting in the dressing room thinking, all right, my price just went up. For every day that they don't give me a new deal, my asking price is going up. So he'll go out there and keep scoring. It's not unheard of that players will have really, really good years in their contract years. And that looks like what's happening here. But, you know, either way, the Islanders are reaping the benefits, right? Phil Kessel has 15 points in 14 games. So technically he's not scoring at a blistering pace. But how about that Phil Kessel? He's -1. He's a little ornery and whatnot, but he's got to be feeling good about the fact he's in Pittsburgh. And when Kessel, Malkin, Crosby, and Gensel, when all these guys are on, it is pretty to watch. And Kessel has had some really pretty plays already this year, but he doesn't have to be a superstar. And that's got to feel pretty good for him. Not to have to lift the team into the stratosphere, to just be able to go out, play his game, score about a point a game, and people aren't going to be on him when they lose. People will go to Crosby, they'll go to Malkin, they might go to Letang, they might talk to Matt Murray. He's not high on the pecking order anymore, so he's got to feel pretty good about that. And the last 15-point producer in the league right now is Johnny Gaudreau. 15 points in 12 games. It's a quiet 15 points because he only has 3 goals. It's a quiet 15 points because Calgary has underwhelmed so far. But the fact that he's got 15 points in 12 games says that if Calgary turns this around and they really get their game going, and they should. They really should. I mean, Calgary should. Now, on VidMe, I did a video on what I think the percentage chances are for each team in the league right now on whether or not they'll make the Stanley Cup playoffs. That'll be a reason for debate. I just thought it would be fun to go through all 31 teams and say, all right, I think this is the percentage chance that they keep up where they are right now. And then as I got further down, I'm like, all right, this is the chance they'll make the playoffs. So just kind of for some fun. But in Gaudreau's case, as the Flames get better, which they should, his total should go up as well. So Gaudreau could be up in, unless goal scoring drops dramatically, and tonight it looked pretty low. But, you know, tonight could be an aberration too. I could be completely wrong. So if scoring stays up, Gaudreau could get into 100-point range. 90, 95, 100 points. He could absolutely get there. And the Flames need a guy to do that. They need that big star player to do that, because considering everything that's been going on with the building and are they going to move? And I know they're not going to move. You know they're not going to move. It's not going to happen. It's all posturing. But it still ticks you off. And then you got Edmonton up the road, and everybody's talking about Connor McDavid. Imagine if the Oilers miss the playoffs, the Flames make it, and it's Johnny Gaudreau that's making all the headlines at the end of the year. That'd feel pretty good if you're a Flames fan. And right now, I'd say there's even odds of it happening. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know which scorers I didn't mention, and there's a lot I didn't mention. There's a lot of players scoring at a point a game or above. As I said, I'd be here all night if I went through that. Let me know which guys surprised you the most in a positive way, and then tomorrow we'll get into the guys who aren't producing. Guys who are, whether it's a surprise or not a surprise, and the Sedins are the ones that are not a surprise for me, but the ones that are not producing, that you just look at and either you can hardly believe it's the same player that they were in their prime, or it's baffling that they're not producing. So look for that tomorrow. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, and thank you guys for supporting me. It's awesome having you guys out there. It makes it worth being in here. And for the other video I did on VidMe, I'll include a link in the description for this video, so look for that and follow me on there as well. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.